Coming up on Look Today, well, the Abraham Wing School in Glens Falls has received a $100,000 tech grant. We've got details. Plus, car enthusiasts are preparing for the Saratoga Auto Auction. More on that coming up. And Glens Falls residents could potentially become chicken owners. All ahead on Look Today. Welcome, everyone. I'm Jay Hood Jackson, and this is Look Today. On tonight's program, I sit down with Chad Rubinovitz, producing artistic director for the Adirondack Theater Festival. And he's here to talk with us about the success of the current show, Loch Ness, and the upcoming production called A Jedi Handbook. That opens, by the way, July 20th. I also sit down with Tedra Cobb. Now, she's a Democrat candidate for the House of Representatives, New York's 21st Congressional District. This is an interview I did with her right before the primary. In it, we talk about her platform and reasons for running. Plus, we got your weather for the Tri-North counties, but first, these headline stories. Well, in our lead story, the Abraham Wing School in Glens Falls has received a $100,000 tech grant. Wow. Now, the grant is funded through the State Department of Education. And the school will be using the funds not only to implement technology, but to have a staff member from BOCES on site 3 days a week to help teach people how to use it. Very cool. Now, if you'd like to get involved, the first training course, by the way, will be July 23rd, starting at 9:30 a.m. Now, we spoke with Abraham School Superintendent John Godfrey.
Yeah, one of the things we're going to do is start with an infrastructure audit to make sure our connectivity is consistent throughout the building. From there, we're going to go to a model school trainer, and we hope to have somebody in from our local BOCES 3 days a week to work directly with the students and the teachers right in the classroom. We've also had a collaborative effort with the Glens Falls Recreation Department. We're having 2 summer camps. The folks who attend the East Field Rec Department, they'll come over here both in July and in August for a 4-day camp.
That's how education is supposed to work. In other news, car enthusiasts, get prepared for the Saratoga Auto Auction. Now, if you wish to participate in this year's auction, there's going to be a consignment day at the Saratoga Auto Museum this Saturday from 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Now, the auction team will be there and be available to discuss consigning vehicles for that auction. Now, that auction, by the way, is happening in September. Well, we spoke to Carly Connors. She's executive director of the Saratoga Auto Museum about the proceeds, about where these proceeds from the auto auction will be going.
So the Saratoga Automobile Museum is a 501c3, and one of our major missions is to educate people about distracted driving. So we have distracted driving simulators right here in the museum, and we actually bring them out to schools, to retirement communities, to the mall, to educate everybody about distracted driving. We have also partnered with Feed the Vets, so we have a Humvee that will be auctioned, and those proceeds will be going to the Feed the Vet program.
Nice way they're reaching out in the community, right? Okay, switching from news to weather. Well, I almost didn't make it into work today. It was so beautiful this morning on Lake George. Low humidity, the sun was out, temperatures in the 80s, and last night it was just great for sleeping. I know you know what I'm talking about. All right, so we're going to have to figure out what Clarence thinks about this. So for a more detailed look at the weather, let's head to the Glens Falls Weather Center for a look at your first forecast.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser with your first look weather update on Look TV. From earlier today, we continue to see plenty of blue skies as the post-tropical cyclone Chris will be pulling away into the Canadian Maritimes. There's Beryl trying to redevelop again, bringing in a high surf and a high rip current threat for much of the eastern seaboard, and that includes the northeast. So if you have any travel plans to, let's say, Martha's Vineyard or Coney Island, keep that in mind. For us here in the Glens Falls and, of course, the Tri-North counties, the Capital District, will continue to be in control with high pressure, and that's going to extend into your Friday and Friday night as well. You may have to deal with patchy fog overnight. 56 the expected low. Lower to mid-60s through 7 and 8 a.m. hours. About 70 by 9 a.m. and will warm up to a nice 83 with sunshine on your Friday. However, please keep in mind that it can happen to anyone due to stress, fatigue, and changes in routine. So check the back seat every time you travel. Those cars will heat up to 100 degrees at least in 20 to 30 minutes. Likely chance of storms on Saturday. It will turn hot. We'll be back in the lower 90s by Monday with sunshine, then a cold front, and a likely chance of storms on Tuesday. That was your first look weather update on Look TV. I'm meteorologist Clarence Ponser. Now I send it back to you, Jesse.
Thanks very much, Clarence. And don't forget, check the back seat. Back to the news. Here's a story for you. Glens Falls residents could potentially become chicken owners. Yes, you heard me correctly. Glens Falls City Council will hold a public hearing on July 24 about the possibility of allowing residents to own chickens. There's been a debate, as you can imagine, for months between advocates on both sides of this issue. Now, if the proposal does pass, owners would be required to keep their chickens in low-density areas of the city. And you can't use them for commercial purposes, and a $25 permit would be required. Roosters, by the way, thankfully, are not included in the proposal. This story, by the way, proves we do local news. Up next, I sit down with Chad Rubinovitz, producing artistic director, Adirondack Theater Festival. And he's here to talk with us about the success of the current show called Loch Ness and the upcoming production called The Jedi Handbook, which opens, by the way, on July 20th. I also sit down with Tedra Cobb. Now, this is an interview I did before the Democratic primary. She's a candidate for the House of Representatives in New York's 21st Congressional District. And she's here because I want you to hear again about her platform and reasons for running. But first, if you see news happening, you want to share a story idea, how about join us for an interview? Then give us a call on the hotline. The number is 798-8000. I don't know if you can hear that out there in the control room. Andrew is making chicken noises. Yeah, when you say local news, you know where to go for local news. I don't know about you. I'd love to own a couple of chickens. All right, you probably figured out that's all the time we have for this edition of Look Today. Just one quick look out. My wife and I last night just had to get in a better mood. We know where to go, Cronin's Golf Resort outside of Warrensburg. And there, Jim, Jeannie, and John were holding court. The bar was just like Cheers. It was so much fun. Great bar food, by the way. Really surprised me. Lo and behold, I turn around and Frank Dietrich walks in with some of his buddies after doing nine holes. And just what a wonderful place to go. I really can't encourage you enough. You play golf, you want to go hang out right along the Hudson River, a beautiful course that's just very, very unique from any of the other golf courses around. That's it. By the way, Saratoga Fair is coming up. We did find out we're going to have a whole bunch of tickets. And if the last year's prove anything, you like Saratoga Fair tickets, so stay tuned for that, okay, because we'll be giving away a bucket load of them. Tonight on Look TV, Sold. That's our call-in auction program. Great estate jewelry and coins. Very popular program. And don't forget, tune in tomorrow night for the stories that matter to you. Good night, everyone.